AMD's stock price is down 22.58% off the highs it reached in March this year. A lot of investors are asking if this is a buying opportunity. I'll answer that question in this video. I'll also discuss why AMD stock price is down, why it's taken this dip here. So let's jump right in. Let's take a look at AMD.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.
Alright, so like I mentioned at the top of the video, AMD stock is down 22.58% off the highs reached in March of this year, just a little over a month ago. So what's causing that stock price decrease? Well, one of the reasons is that analysts are getting pessimistic about AMD's earnings prospects. So I can share with you here the estimates for AMD's earnings over the next quarter, over the next year, and over the next 2 years, and you can see they're all coming down. Let me draw your attention here. 90 days ago, analysts on Wall Street that were following AMD stock expected it to deliver 68 cents in earnings per share for the current quarter that ended in March. That's decreased down to 57 cents per share. For the next quarter that's going to end in June, analysts on Wall Street 90 days ago were expecting 81 cents per share in earnings, and that's now down to 65 cents per share. For the current year in 2024 overall, analysts were expecting $3.74 in earnings. That's now down to $3.37. And you can see the bulk of this decrease has come in the last 30 days. And that's coinciding with the stock price drop in the last month. The earnings per share 30 days ago, expectations was as high as $3.63 for the year. That's fallen by roughly 10% down to $3.37. Similarly, for 2025, the expectations were rising. 90 days ago, they were $5.10. They increased to $5.45, then up again to $5.48. And in the last 30 days, they've fallen from $5.48 to $5.47. And just in the last 7 days, they've fallen from $5.47 to $5.09. So the analysts that are following AMD stock, while they were initially optimistic about its prospects going into the year, continuously raising their earnings per share expectations for AMD, in the last month or so, they've kind of diminished those optimistic forecasts. They've decreased their expectations for where they think the stock price could go in the next quarter, in the next year, and in the next 2 years. And when the analysts that are following AMD stock become pessimistic, the market tends to follow their recommendations, and the valuations of stocks tend to decrease along with the recommendations from Wall Street analysts, because these are the analysts that are closest to AMD stock. They have relationships with AMD management where they can go ask management questions about some of their valuations that they're considering, and what the management team will answer the analyst questions. And so these analysts have a good idea of where the company's revenue and profits and cash flow are going to come in for the next couple of years. Now, they're not going to be precise, but they have roughly a good idea. They're arguably the closest to the company in terms of analysts that are making predictions, and so their recommendations are highly regarded among investors and the market overall. So this is causing the stock price to decrease. Now, one of the things that AMD has done in recent quarters is launch a competitor to Nvidia. So it's launched the MI300X accelerators, which is a leadership accelerator for generative AI, large language models, and inferencing. AMD hopes to gain some market share in the generative AI space, an area where Nvidia has estimated 80% market share. So AMD is making a push into the industry. It's not yet captured a meaningful share of that industry. It's not yet captured any sort of a surge in revenue in a fashion like Nvidia has captured. So I have here a comparison of AMD and Nvidia revenue, operating profit margin, and cash flow from operations. And look at the vast difference between the two, especially in the latest quarter and the latest trailing 12-month period. Look at AMD's number, 10% growth in revenue in the latest quarter. Nvidia, 265% growth in its latest quarter in revenue. An absolute surge in revenue. AMD, not there yet, not anywhere near that level of boost in sales from artificial intelligence, although there is anticipation from Wall Street that it will get a boost. Maybe not as large as Nvidia, in fact, not likely as large as Nvidia, but it is likely to get a boost in the business. It's likely to get a boost in market share, and investors are waiting for that to happen. And then you can look at operating margin and cash flow from operations, 54% and 46% respectively for Nvidia, and in those metrics, just 1.77% and 7.35% for Nvidia. Again, Wall Street analysts and the market at large is expecting AMD to get a boost in these metrics as well, although again, not yet experiencing that surge. So they're on the cusp. They're poised to get this benefit, but we haven't seen it yet. And the longer this drags out for AMD, the more skeptical and the more cautious investors become with AMD stock. And so that explains for a large part the reason why AMD stock is down 22% off the high. Initially, it got the boost from rising enthusiasm from artificial intelligence. It got the boost because the market was anticipating AMD is likely to generate stronger revenue, cash flow, and profitability. But as those numbers failed to materialize early on, investors got a little bit skeptical and a little bit cautious, saying, are we getting ahead of ourselves here with AMD jumping into this stock before it's delivered this boost in revenue, profit, and cash flow? And so the cautiousness caused the stock price to dip. Now, the stock is trading at a forward price to earnings of 30, which is about fair value for AMD stock at current prospects, with its expectations over the next 5 years being what they are. Its earnings per share are expected to grow by 23.24% for the next 5 years, according to those same Wall Street analysts that are following AMD stock. So paying a forward PE of 30 on a stock that's expected to grow by 23% for the next 5 years in earnings per share is a good to reasonable investment. And so if you're asking me, is this dip in AMD stock price a buying opportunity? I would say yes. I would say this is a buying opportunity for investors who feel like they missed out on the initial surge in AMD stock in 2024. And now with this 22% dip, they have a chance to get into this stock that's poised to benefit from the rising effectiveness of artificial intelligence. If you liked the video you just saw and you want to see more just like it, please subscribe to the channel. I can't keep this channel free without the support of viewers like you. And if you're already subscribed, thank you, and I appreciate your support.